Hey guys, in today's project we will be going over how to make flowing LED lights through Arduino. As the name implies, these flowing lights are made up of 8 LEDs in a row, which successively light up and dim one after another, just like flowing water. This project incorporates elements of the blinking and button LED projects that we have completed previously, with the flexibility to create your own version of this project. To begin, we will need 8 LEDs, 8 220 ohm resistors, 1 USB cable, jumper wires, your breadboard, and Arduino board. Now onto the circuit. Place your 8 LEDs in a row, with 1 resistor in front of each LED's anode. The resistors are there to limit the current that goes to each LED. If there were no resistors, then the LED would become damaged. Then connect wires in front of the resistors to the pins on the Arduino, starting from pin 2 to 9. This will be important when we start coding. Then place wires in front of the LED's cathodes to the negative side of the power rail. Finally, attach another wire from the negative side of the power rail to G and D of the Arduino. After finishing the circuit, let's start coding. First, we will define our variables. Const int lowest pin equals 2, and const int highest pin equals 9. We named these variables as such since the pins that we used started from the lowest value of 2 and the highest value of 9. Now in setup we will write for int this pin equals lowest pin, this pin less than equal to highest pin, this pin plus plus. Then pin mode, this pin output. The for loop that we just created works so that we define a variable, this pin, that is initially set to the value of the lowest pin, which is 2. We make sure that the for loop does not go on forever by stating that the value of this pin can only go up to the value of highest pin, which is 9. This pin plus plus ensures that the value of this pin increases with each iteration of the for loop, so that once this pin reaches 10, the loop terminates and we can exit setup. Within the for loop, the method pin mode sets up this pin to output, meaning that each pin that we use, ranging from 2 to 9, will become an output, so the LEDs connected to each pin will output light. Finally, in loop, we will write 4 for loops. The first one turns on each LED from lowest to highest by iterating through each pin from 2 to 9 and turning them on through digital write, setting each pin to high. There's a delay of 100 milliseconds between each so that it's not turning on all at once. The second for loop turns off each LED, this time from highest to lowest, by iterating from pin 9 to 2 and using digital write to set each LED off by setting each pin to low. Likewise, there is a delay of 100 to make sure that all the LEDs don't turn off at once. The final 2 for statements do the same thing, except instead of turning on each LED from the lowest to highest pin, the third for statement starts from the highest to lowest pin, while the final for statement turns off each LED from lowest to highest. The circuit would look like this and work in this way. However, you are not stuck with just these 8 LEDs. The great thing about Arduino is you can get creative with how you take on any project. In the circuit we just made, there are only 8 red LEDs, while in this one there are 13 LEDs, each in varying colors. Note that if you do change the number of LEDs, you will need to change your code along with your circuit. When we are changing the circuit, be sure to repeat the pattern of LED, resistor, and wires, so that both the anode and cathode are connected with the appropriate wire and/or resistor, as well as the digital pin being connected properly on the Arduino. As for the code, here's an example of what can be written for the 13 LED project. We would set the pins this time from 0 to 13 in this code. You can think of the variables I and A as the variables this pin that we used in the last code. Now the lowest pin would be 0 and the highest pin would be 13 instead of the 2 and 9 we used before. Therefore, it follows that for each LED that you add to the circuit, change the range in the code according to what pins you used. I hope this video helped you on how to create flowing LEDs with Arduino.